Alright everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fatphil, and today I want to be talking about the kit reveal for Morgan Elsbeth. We're going to get into this. We're going to actually talk about why this is a very significant kit reveal, not just because of what she's bringing to the game, but because of the way that she's getting released before all the Ahsoka requirements are here. We've already got one requirement for Ahsoka, now we're getting Morgan, who's requirement for Baylon's skull, and we'll kind of talk about, the impacts of that and how I feel. So please like and subscribe, comment down below, let me know your thoughts. Let's give a massive shout to our channel members, as always, for their continued support. If you guys are ever interested, that link is in the description, along with a link to the Discord server. Make sure you guys go check that out. Always love to see you guys pop in there, ask the questions. You all are just fantastic people. Thank you for your support. So yeah, guys, let's kind of talk about, Galaxy of Heroes, and of course, talk about Morgan Elsbeth. Alright, so let's bring it over here. So we are on the new forums, by the way. We're going to move the fat face out of the way. The new forums have launched. They look pretty nice. I might need a dark mode for them. I do like dark mode. But we've got the artwork here, and I mean, this looks sick. Like, that is so, again, their artwork has gotten better and better, particularly this, like 2D stuff here has always been just top notch. I absolutely love it. So she is a dark side tank Nightsister. So those are the tags. So no Empire tag, no Imperial Remnant tag. That gives us some indication that if Thrawn would kind of get an Imperial Remnant tag or something along those lines, she's not in that team. She's getting that Nightsister tag. That's very important. So she is the tank that synergizes with Foresight and Stealth. So right there, Foresight and Stealth, two big Nightsisters that are not currently utilized. Nightsister Acolyte and Nightsister Spirit are heavily utilized by Stealth and Foresight. Which again, they kind of call that out right there for you. Provide tons of survivability through health and protection recovery, and sets the stage for the new Nightsister squad. Again, they are continuing their trend of releasing characters to sort of flesh out some of those underutilized characters that exist in the game. The new characters coming in are not replacing somebody in a great team. They're, putting together a team that currently doesn't exist. And I think this has been a trend that we've been seeing a lot that I very much like. I normally skip over the inspiration. It's all from the Ahsoka series, right? That's what you need to know. So she has a reactive taunt. So reactive taunt is similar to General Kenobi, where, an ally's critically hit and he taunts. Or, hey, somebody loses protection up, he taunts. That's what a reactive taunt is, rather than an ability that forces taunt or a pre-taunt. Now, depending on certain things happening at the start, like, hey, Nightsister attacker allies start with Stealth or Foresight, then she might be taunting. So yeah, right now I didn't see a pre-taunt. Maybe it's down in her kit and I just haven't read it yet. But otherwise, she's also, the one thing I did want to call out here is she creates an offensively strong squad, providing offense increases when she is taunting, or to a Nightsister ally who has Foresight, and critical damage to a Stealth Nightsister. And I think that distinction is very unique, where they're saying, hey, if you have Foresight, you're going to get an offense boost, but if you have Stealth, it's a critical damage boost. Maybe this is the time that we start utilizing critical damage mods. Nightsister Acolyte utilizes Stealth. Maybe we want to use critical damage there. Critical damage mod sets are something that kind of are, I don't want to say a thing of the past, but they've definitely lost a step to offense with things like Relic 8 and Relic 9 coming into the game. Those boosts you get from offense are far more significant than critical damage a lot of the time. In terms of how we get her, she will be a marquee starting July 18th. So we got a few days before we get her as of the time of recording. She will not have an exclusive Datacron, but she will have an affix in the upcoming Datacron set. Why does she prevent Nightsisters from reviving? We wanted this new Nightsister squad to feel distinct from the existing one that centers around Plague and Revives. Additionally, this allowed us to put the power we wanted in Morgan without concern of lifting Talzin's squad. And I think that's very important. Hats off to them for that is a great little tidbit there. Hey, prevents revives. I love it. Who will lead this new Nightsister squad? The Great Mothers, coming soon. Do I need Morgan? Yes, for Baylon's skull. So I want to pause here. If you remember when they talked about the release of the Ahsoka characters, what they said is, hey, we'll be releasing a bunch of characters related to the show. Some will be needed for Ahsoka, some will be needed for Baylon. The timing around the release of Baylon and Ahsoka is a little bit concerning to me now. Because I was expecting that we would get the rest of Ahsoka's requirements, and then we would get Baylon. Right? Or, like, then we'd get Baylon's requirements, and then, Ahsoka and Baylon would eventually come to the game. But they've gone, hey, here's a character for Ahsoka, here's a character for Baylon. Could they potentially be coming into the game, like, bang, bang? Could they be coming at the same time? Are we going to get Baylon first? There's some questions I have there around the release of these characters. And in particular, too, you've got to imagine, are we going to be... What's the wording here? I want to be careful how I say this. Like, is Baylon going to be an important character to have to counter Ahsoka? And so that's why he's going to get... Like, there could be a lot of stuff going on in Star Wars over the next couple of, months very quickly. And I just was really concerned when I saw that we didn't get the next Ahsoka character, that we're getting a Baylon character. Just something that I want you guys to kind of put in the back of your heads, that this could really delay when you could potentially get Ahsoka, because you'll have Night Trooper ready, but the rest of the characters won't even be farmable. So just, let's keep that in mind as we continue through with the kit reveal. So, the basic, which that looks sick, that is a sweet animation. Deal physical damage to target enemy, and Morgan gains defense up and protection up 50% for 1 turn. If target enemy is inflicted with defense down, the weakest other non-tank Nightsister ally stealths for 1 turn. If Morgan is taunting, inflict target with vulnerable for 1 turn. That's actually very good. If she's taunting, inflicting with vulnerable, means that the next attack is a guaranteed critical hit. We love that. Next, my loyalty, my life, 4-turn cooldown. Dispel all buffs on all enemies, and all Nightsisters recover 50% health and protection. Gain defense penetration up for 2 turns. If Morgan is taunting, all Nightsisters gain 20% turn meter and tenacity up. I mean, that's a pretty solid ability. If she's taunting, it's kind of like Rex's form up a little bit there. Getting that turn meter, getting tenacity up. Again, tenacity up is a very, very important, debuff or buff, right? Because it completely stops any kind of debuffs from landing on you. Sorry, buffs, debuffs, all that stuff. All right, next special 2. Let none pass. This has an Omicron. So, an Omicron on a special ability here. Deal physical damage to target enemy, blind them for 1 turn, inflict them with armor shred for the rest of the encounter, and call other Nightsister allies to assist. If this attack defeats an enemy, blind all enemies for 2 turns, which can't be evaded or resisted. While in Grand Arena, stagger enemy for 2 turns and expose all enemies and inflict them with buff immunity. If target enemy is inflicted with defense down, Nightsister allies deal an additional 5% damage, and the cooldown of their abilities is decreased by 1. All Nightsister allies gain frenzy for 1 turn and protection up 50% for 2 turns. So in Grand Arena, this will be a completely... Like, outside of Grand Arena, this is a very good ability. Inside of Grand Arena, this is going to be an extremely important ability. It makes me think that what you'll probably want to do... It's kind of interesting because, like, decreasing the cooldowns of Spirit is maybe a little bit more important, but to Acolyte, you don't really use her special because you just want to keep her under stealth. But the Frenzy could be very important to kind of run a little bit of a turn meter train here. So I would imagine this team will have some sort of turn meter mechanic just by looking at the Frenzy and some of the other abilities here where they're gaining that, turn meter. So I think this could be good in Grand Arena, but again, the one, I don't want to say downside to it, but you'll kind of have to see how it plays a role with the, the Great Mothers on how often you will be able to use this ability. Obviously, if you're able to use it multiple times in a battle, it's a lot more significant. And then next is her second unique. At the start of battle, all Nightsisters gain 10% critical chance, defense, max health, 30% tenacity, and 50% max protection. Okay, so 10% crit chance, defense, and max health, 30% tenacity, 50% max protection. Okay, so maybe potentially wanting to mod these Nightsisters for protection with all the bonuses that she's going to be giving out for max protection and the protection recovery. When another Nightsister ally stealths, they gain 15% critical damage for 1 turn. Morgan taunts for 1 turn, and all Nightsister allies recover 25% health. That's going to be amazing with Acolyte, where she's constantly going into stealth. Whenever a Nightsister ally gains Foresight, they gain 20% offense for 1 turn, and all Nightsister allies recover 25% protection. So that Foresight on Spirit could be, this is looking pretty good so far. The first time each other Nightsister ally falls below 20% health, they gain Foresight and Stealth. Morgan gains 20% defense until the end of the encounter, and they and Morgan recover 30% health and protection and gain 30% turn meter. Alright. Whenever Morgan is defeated, inflict all enemies with health down for 2 turns, which can't be dispelled, evaded, or resisted. All Nightsister allies recover 100% health and protection, and gave 5% critical avoidance and defense, plus an additional 10% crit avoidance and defense per relic amplifier level Morgan had until the end of the encounter. Holy crap, that's crazy. Whenever Morgan taunts, all Nightsister allies recover 20% health and protection, and gain 15% offense until she loses taunt. When she loses taunt, she recovers 5% health and protection and gains turn meter. Defeated allies can't be revived. This effect persists through defeat. Wow. Alright, so this is going to be a very important character, right? I mean, you read through this and there's a lot of stuff that I'm seeing. Man, like, we're going to need, the one thing I'm wondering is, I guess the Great Mothers will have a Dispel, because I don't see where she has a debuff Dispel. She doesn't have a Cleanse. So I'm wondering if the Great Mothers will have something in their kit for that kind of cleanse. Like here it says like when she's defeated, right? It says, so when Morgan is defeated, inflict all enemies with health down, and then all Nightsister allies recover all this. So the one thing I'll say here is that what it's not saying is that when Morgan is defeated, right, and they gain this stuff, but if you're inflicted with healing immunity or shock, you're not going to get the full benefit of this. That there's nothing to dispel any of the debuffs on you. So that is one thing that I'm curious how that will play a role here on, hey, yeah, you can recover health and protection, but if you have healing immunity or you've got, shock, whatever, doubt, whatever that thing is, if that doesn't get cleansed, that could be problematic. Protection, disruption, those kinds of things. So I'd be curious to see if the Great Mothers have some sort of cleanse, because right now she does not have one here. So otherwise, I want to kind of pop over to the game a little bit, because I did just want to kind of cover a few other things about the Nightsisters here. So let's move the fat face back over. Move the fat face. There we go. All right. So when you look at the Nightsister faction as a whole right now, again, they had released the Lightspeed bundle that we talked about. So you've got the Talzin team, right? You've got Talzin, Daka, Asajj, Marin, and Zombie. And then you've kind of got this Acolyte, Talia, Initiate, and Nightsister Spirit in the game. And the 2 Nightsisters they seem to really be targeting with this update, or with this, new character, is Acolyte herself and Nightsister Spirit. Those are kind of the 2 that have the, Spirit is the one that's constantly gaining Foresight, right? And then, obviously, Acolyte is the one that's constantly inside of Stealth, right? And there's some really, really interesting mechanics here that while she's in Stealth, she has 50% offense. So you combine that with some of those bonuses, you're getting crazy. And then with Spirit, low-key, while Spirit has Foresight, she has 100% offense, and her attacks ignore armor. So, like, 2 very good, kind of sneaky good characters. They're not quite as potent as they used to be, because Spirit is that one that you kick out for Marin. She was definitely a very popular Nightsister, especially like being able to ignore armor. You ever wonder why she's so annoying in Dathomir on Rise of the Empire? It's because like they ignore armor. Acolyte, I mean, if this update for Morgan brings the Nightsister Acolyte closer to what we have in Rise of the Empire, man, it's gonna be a fun team. But again, like I said, I do have some concerns about the timing of this, because we have, the first batch of requirements for Ahsoka, and one of them was Night Trooper. And then now we're getting Morgan Elsbeth, who is a requirement for Baylon's Skull, who isn't even in the game yet, right? That, the journey isn't even here. So I was trying to think back to when we ever had something like this, where 2 different Journey Guide characters kind of had overlapping releases, in that hey, we give you a character that you're going to need for, Jedi Knight Revan, and hey, we're giving you a character you need for Darth Revan. And the only time I could maybe think of that was potentially with Luke and Sith Eternal between Piet, Chupio, and Mon Mothma. But if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure that we got Piet first and then the other two. I could be wrong on that. But those two were the last batch of, if you remember with Rey and Kylo, and then Sith Eternal and Jedi Master Luke, they were released on the same day together. Since then, we've gotten, Kenobi, then we got Lord Vader, and then Jabba, and then Leia, and then Ahsoka. So it's been a long time since we've had dual releases on the same day, and that's part of the reason why I think that you normally won't. But with these requirements kind of coming out the way they are, it's kind of putting some doubt in the back of my mind that could be a potential option for Capital Games. So let me know your thoughts, guys. I am very excited to see how Morgan's team does. They did say it would be on par with Gungan's, but I'm curious to see how many players have this and the actual impact that does have to the player base below Kyber 1. Obviously in Kyber 1 you'll see it all the time, but what does it do below Kyber 1? What are you going to be waiting for? Are you going to be able to get this? With that night, hopefully they bring back that Lightspeed bundle and everybody's going to be buying it. So let me know your thoughts. Love you all. May the Force be with you, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, my friends.